Hello guys, first of all I welcome you all to this interview question series and we are seeing some of the important interview question related to the advanced Excel, and we have already completed the 4 set of it and we are in the set 5. So let's get started with the today's session. First question for the today's session is explain the working of some product functions and cases in which we can use this function. Okay, so let's just directly jump into the definition I have. The sum product functions multiplies the corresponding value in two or more arrays and then sums of the result. Okay, so let me just directly go towards the workbook I have and let's just discuss how exactly the sum product functions will work. So first of all, let's say I have a two column is there, column 1 is there, right? Column 1 is there and column 2 is there. Column 2 is there. Column 2 is there. And in the column 1 I have some values 1, 2 and 3. In column 2 I have some values are there 10, 20 and 30. Okay, so I wanted to compute the sum product. Sum product means what? So how sum product will work on those two things? First of all, it will product row by row. It will product the row by row. Means what? 1 into 10. What is the value I am getting right now? 10 is there. 2 into 20, 40 is there. And 3 into 30, 90 is there. And whatever the value you are getting after doing the product, then sum all of these things. So what is the sum of it? 10 plus 40 and then 90, we will get something like 140 is there, right? 140 is there. This is how the sum product will work. And what is the syntax of sum product functions? Let me just discuss the syntax of sum product function. Let me just invoke the sum product functions here. And here you can see there is a function name is there. Then we can pass any number of arrays or column, we can say that. So how can we just employ this function? Let me just check if it is really the case or not for this small data. So let me just add and invoke the sum product function, sum product, right? And let's just pass two arrays. So first array is something like column 1 I have, second array is something like column 2 I have, and let's just press enter. I am getting the same result. Clear guys? So this is how the sum product will work. Let's just discuss the real world implementation of sum product functions we have. First of all, let's just suppose I have a product ID is there and we have a quantity is there and per unit price is there. I wanted to know the final sum. I am interested only the final sum of the product. So how can I compute the final sum? So by using directly the sum product functions. So basically what sum product function does? Sum product function is just something like row wise multiplications. So row wise multiplication it will does, and whatever the result you got after the multiplication, then sum it up. This is what I have required into the final sales calculation. Let's suppose if I just multiplied the quantity by per unit price, I am getting the product wise sales. And then compute each of the product wise sales and getting the final sales amount, right? Let me just directly employ the sum product functions. Okay, sum product function. Let's just invoke the sum product functions. I am passing the two array. First array is quantity, right? And second array is something like per unit price. And let me just press enter here. I am getting this kind of final sales result. Okay, let's just verify it is the case or not. So let's just do the manual operation here. So I wanted to multiply quantity to the per unit price. I am getting the product wise total sales, and let's just compute for each of the product, right? And after that I wanted to compute their sum. So let me just compute the sum and I'm getting the same result. Back. So whenever you are interested only the final amount of the whatever multiplication you wanted to do, you can just opt for the sum product functions. Clear guys? This is how the sum product will work, and this is one of the use case where we can employ the sum product functions. Another use case where we can employ the sum product function is something like calculating the weighted average. Okay, weighted average. So if I have a score is there and I have average is there or weight is there, then I can compute the weighted average or weighted sum of these things by using the sum product functions as well. But the thing is that one caveat with respect to employing such a kind of thing is that the weight we have should add up to 1. If I just sum all of these things right now in my data, so it should add up to 1 right now. Clear guys? So this is all the story about the sum product functions we have, and you will get the understanding how the sum product will work and what is the technical definitions we have. Clear guys? So let's just move forward with the other questions I have. How do you create and interpret the pivot chart in Excel? What are the some best practices are there? Okay, so the pivot charts are thing but the chart which is created from the pivot table. And what is a pivot table? Pivot table is used for analyzing the large volume of a data, or if I wanted to create the summary report from the large volume of a data, we will create the pivot table. And once we create that summarized report in the form of pivot table, we can create the pivot chart out of it to make it visually interpretable, visually interpretable. So let me just go towards the data I have right now. So I have some raw data is there, and in that raw data I have a many rows and many columns are there. I wanted to summarize this data. So place the cursor anywhere in the data, go into the insert and click on the pivot table, and you will get the create pivot table dialog box. And in the create pivot table dialog box, you have to first select the data range, which is automatically selected right now, and just choose the place where we wanted to create that summarized report. Either you can go with the new worksheet or you can just go with the existing worksheet. I am just going with the existing worksheet and just indicate the locations where we want that thing, right? And let's just click OK. One placeholder will come, and in that placeholder you can just create the summarized report. So what I wanted to analyze right now, I wanted to analyze something like I wanted to analyze subcategory wise profit, right? So here I am getting those results right now. Okay, so subcategory wise what is the profit I am getting, right? So but it is not visually appealing, so we can just create the chart out of it. So it is called as a pivot chart. So select the table you have, pivot table you have, go into the analyze, and in the analyze you will get the pivot chart option. Click on the pivot chart option and select the appropriate chart. So let me just go with the horizontal bar chart and click OK. So this is the chart I am getting right now with respect to the pivot data I have, right? Pivot data I have. Here you can see what are the result I am getting with respect to the whatever data in the data is present with the pivot table. Clear guys? So make it to make it more interpretable, we can just add the slicers as well. Okay, so let's suppose if I have a condition, where I wanted to analyze only the data, only the subcategories which is fall under one broader category of technology or broader category of furniture, then we can employ the slicers and filters as well. Okay, so let me just employ the slicers directly for that. So how can I just employ the slicers? Go into the analyze and add a slicer is there. Which slicer I want? So I want category slicer. Let me just click OK. So slicer is there right now with me. Okay, so how does this slicers work? So you can just select technology and those data will be come up here. In order to make it more interpretable, let's just enable the data label as well. So here you will get all those data are related to only technology category, and all those subcategories are present under the one broader category which is called technology. Clear guys? Also we can add the filter as well. Okay, so let's suppose I wanted to only see one particular region for those things, right? So okay, this result is correct, but I want for only particular region. Let's suppose I want only for the western region analysis. Okay, so we can utilize the filter as well. Okay, filter as well. So I can add the filter, select the fields. Okay, select the fields, create pivot table fields, and in the filter sections you can just add the region. So we can just drag and drop the region into the filter cards, and here you can see one filter is created right now, and in which I just analyzing all the region. So I don't want all the region, I want only the western region. Let me just click OK, and here you can get all of these things for western region, for the technology category, what is the profit of each of the subcategory I have. Clear guys? This is how we can just create the pivot chart and make it make the data which is in the analyzable format. Okay, so let's just go here and just discuss about the best practices we have for that purpose. First we have to select the appropriate chart. So don't select the chart which is not compatible for the analysis. Let's suppose you wanted to analyze the subcategory based profit. Here are the subcategories are something in the range of 15 to 17 I guess, and then if you just employ the pie chart of it, then it is more difficult to read than the bar chart. Second is simplify filters. So whatever the filters you are added right now, it will just simplify your data, or we can use the filter to simplify our data. Then the third one is clear labels. So add the labels into the data so that it is more communicable, and then avoid overloading of data. Don't add much of the fields into the pivot table and pivot chart. it will make the charts more complex. So these are the best practices we have when we are creating the pivot table. Clear guys? So let's just move forward with the other question we have. So this is the third question and final question we have for the session. Discuss how to implement data validation rules for ensuring the data quality for input data. Okay, so what is mean by data validation? Let's suppose I have a Excel file which I am using and creating the data right in the Excel file. But the thing is that I don't want anyone to add any of the record. Let's suppose I am creating some Excel files and I am distributing that Excel file with respect to the many of the people into my organizations, and each of have some access only for viewing that Excel file, and I restrict them to add the data or add any other data into my whatever the fields I have. We can just opt for the data validation. So how can I do that? Let me just directly jump into the workbook I have some small data set is there, something like state column is there, sales is there, and quantity is there. I want to restrict the end user to input any numerical data into the categorical field or vice versa. So state is a categorical field I have. B and C column contains the sales and quantity, which contains the numerical data, and in that also quantity contains the whole number and sales contain the decimal numbers. So I wanted to enforce some integrity, some rules over there. So let's suppose I wanted to enforce the rule where user don't have to add any categorical field, any textual field into the state columns. So how can I do that? Let's just select whatever the column you want, go into the data, and in the data tab you will find the options of data validation, and let's just click on the data validation. Once you click on the data validation, one data validation a dialog box will appear, and in that dialog box you will enforce some rule. So in the allow section we will see any value, so we can add any value into that particular selected column we have. We can change this thing into something like text length, date, whole number, decimal number. We can just go with the custom because I have a custom requirement of don't want to add something like except textual data. Okay, so how can I do that? So we have to write something like this formula equals is error, right? And is error, I am just computing the sum of that particular column, and let me just finish those thing up. Okay, and let me just click OK. So the rule is applied guys. Let me just add some numerical data here. I am getting the warning and error saying that the value you entered is not valid. If the value you are entered is not valid, so we can only add the numerical data here. Let's suppose I am some added one categorical data, and here you can see something like this one. Also this is not valid, so we can only add a valid fields here. Clear guys? Valid fields here only. So same thing we can just do with respect to the sales and quantity as well. So let's suppose I don't want it user to add any of the categorical data here. We can enforce the rule for the sales as well. Select the column of interest, go into the data validation dialog box, and which rule I want decimals only, right? And if I have any range, okay, so between, not between, equal to, greater than, less than, you can just enforce the rule. So sales should be greater than, so cell cannot be 0 or make it less than 0. So we can just opt for the condition, so greater than, we can say 0, and let me just click OK, right? If I just input something like -12 here, I am getting the warning, right? And the data is not there right now. Clear? Same rule we can enforce with respect to the quantity as well. Select the quantity, data validation again, and here I wanted to go towards the whole number, and instead of range, so whole number should be something like anything, right? But the quantity should not be negative, so the physical quantity cannot be negative. Again I am just going with respect to the greater than, and should be 0, and click OK. So this is how we can just enforces the any rule, right? Enforces any rule. We have here, we can see that I have added something like O here, which is the textual data, and will throw me an error. Clear guys? So this is how we can just enforce the data integrity rule into the whatever column we have to protect our data integrity into the Excel. I guess it's clear for all of you guys, and this is how we can just protect our data. So these are the benefits we have. Something like helps to avoid error like entering the text into the number field. So we have seen those example. Also ensures a uniform input format and restrict invalid dates and ranges. So this is how we, with respect to the data validations, we have. And that's it for the session, guys. Okay, practice all of these stuffs on your worksheets and get the full understanding of it. We will meet in the next sets with the more interview question. Till then, have a nice day.